Welcome to Everyday Profits, where we talk mindset, abundance, wealth creation, and building the life of your dreams. Hello. I hope that your day has started off beautifully. As you can see, a lovely day here in northwest Queensland. We've got the sun shining at the cows behind me. The dogs are up with me. So yeah, it's just simply beautiful. And I'm so blessed to have the life that I have and to live the life that I lead. And today I wanted to share with you a thought that's been on my mind since listening to a podcast where Lisa Nichols was being interviewed. And I always love Lisa's story. She has a phenomenal story of going from being dead flat broke. I think she had like $11 in her bank account and she was trying to raise her son at this point. And the line that she shared that has stuck with me simply says that your story is not meant to be your fortress. It is meant to be your fuel. And I'm like, that is amazing. That truly is what we need to be focusing on, because ultimately we're all separate individuals. We all have our own story. We all have our own life. We all have our own vision and ambition and inspiration and motivation, the whole kit and caboodle. And how can we turn our individual story into being the fuel that fuels us to create the life that we want, to build them dreams, to have this broader vision of what we want for our lives and for those who are in our lives and around us. And I really want to, to tap into that and just to encourage people to ponder, to think upon the fact that I am unique and my story means something. How can I turn that into fuel to get me from where I am to where I want to be? To build the life that I want, to build generational wealth, if that's what your ambition is to do. And I want to encourage you to really consider, imagine looking back one day and thinking, this is where I was, this is where I wanted to be, and this is where I am now. Like, imagine having that foresight, that hindsight to say that I got to where I wanted to go because I used my story as fuel to take me to where I really wanted to go, because you had the courage and you had the audacity and you had the oomph behind you to really push you to build the life of your dreams, so to speak. And I really wanted to touch on this because like I really have a deep passion about what comes with your mindset when it comes to building wealth and holding wealth and carrying wealth through your life. It really starts from within. We can have wealth come into our life quite easily, to be frank. You can look at the likes of those who may win the lotto. You'll see they have this big pot of money, landed in their lap, and then within a matter of no time, they're back being worse off than when they were before they won the lotto. And that really points to the fact that their mind was not in the right position to contain the wealth that they were given. And so it starts with our mindset. It doesn't start with, like what your life is producing, so to speak, but it starts in your mind. And how can you work your mind to ultimately build the wealth that you then want for yourself? And everything, we have so much power within ourselves. We have so much power in our own lives. And how can we leverage that power that comes with our mind? We're all blessed with a mind. It doesn't really matter what our history is, what our past is, like where our family's been, where we've been, where we're coming from, but what is within our mind? How can you visualize in your mind to make your visualization become a reality? So say, for example, if you were looking for something like purchasing an investment property as such, what can you do within your own mind to bring that into reality for yourself? A few things that, we're investors, obviously. We've got a property portfolio that we're constantly growing and constantly looking to grow. And we've got our own ambitions in our own mind about where we want that portfolio to go. But what the things that we do to actually the groundwork that we lay to build to make that portfolio grow, to build it up, is we're constantly looking at where things are to buy. Like what's the market doing? Where is the market going? What can we be doing today to make our reality become true? And so I would encourage you that, say for example, you are looking to buy an investment property. Start to understand what your market is. Like, what sort of property is that? Is that a residential home? Is it, multifamily? Is it a unit like in a strata complex? Is it a townhouse? Is it more on the commercial side? What does that particularly look like for you? Are you interested in development or those sorts of things? What does that look like for you? And then really hone in on that. Just get one thing in your mind and really focus on that. Okay, I want to buy a single family home in this area. This is my budget and I want it to have achieved this by this particular date. And so what we do, we're always looking at different houses to buy. We're always looking to see how the market's moving. We're always following, we're always keeping up with, what we can do on a day-to-day basis to help us ultimately build the portfolio that we want to do. And Nat and I, like Nat's my husband, we've got multiple different properties on our list as such, let's call it our list, that we're looking at the moment. And what we do is we sit down and we crunch the figures. We go right through and say, right, this is what it's going to cost. This is our interest rate. This is the rates and the insurance and the expenses and all the outlays and whatever else. And you write it down and you say, right, if I want to have a cash flow positive, because we are cash flow positive investors. If we want to have a cash flow positive property, this is what it has to be making for us to buy that. This is what, or you flip it and you say, this is the price that I have to buy this property at to be able to tick all of my own boxes on what I wanted to make off that property. And so then we write that down and we send it as an offer to the real estate agent or to the seller, and then let them decide if they would like to accept or reject it. Okay, so you're already letting the universe as such work for you, because you're laying the groundwork for something that you can do to build your own wealth. And ultimately, the whole time that you've done this, so you've researched the property, you figured out what it's going to cost, you figured out what you want to make of it, you figured out, what your return will be. It hasn't cost you a cent. All it's done is you've put a bit of time and a bit of effort into researching and crunching some numbers, and all of a sudden you've been able to send an offer off to potentially buy a property. Okay, and the thing to remember is that fear, this is where it comes back to fear. Often the fear will hold you back from wanting to do that. The first thought that might come to your mind to say is, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I have no right to send an offer off to a real estate agent to offer to buy a property, but you do. Everybody can send an email and say, I would like to offer this for that property. And then it's up to the other side then to accept or reject. And the thing to remember is that when you send in an offer, that is not like signing a contract. That is simply an offer. You don't have to follow through as such on that. Like, it's good to stick to your commitments, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it's just good practice to start to understand how to write offers, how to lay that foundational work to then ultimately allow something to come into your life. Then, like, you've already done the groundwork, and you're not liable for anything until you actually sign something. And so it's really good practice just to start, just to do something, start to research and start to understand what your target market is, and start to understand how to approach real estate agents and approach owners and write letters of offer and these sorts of things. And then once you start, you can really then start to peel back the layers on your emotional journey then, because once you punch fear in the face, so to speak, and you send off your first offer, for example, you've already crossed off that emotional hurdle from your list. You've already done that. So then when it comes to doing your second offer, for example, you're not going to face that fierce fear that you faced originally with your first offer. Don't get me wrong, the fear and the doubt and the uncertainty, the self-denigration will still be there, but you've got a bit more of a stronghold on it over it than what it has over you when you start to move forward and when you start to do these things. So I just wanted to jump on and really encourage you to start thinking outside the box. Like you've got to be doing something different to what the mainstream is doing. The mainstreamers are 9 to 5ers. They get up, they have their breakfast, they get ready for their day, they go to work, they work their 9 to 5, they come home, they have their evening meal, they go to bed. Okay, and that's the cycle. Well, how can you break that cycle for yourself? This is what we need to be really looking at. And the thing to remember is that oftentimes the people who we follow, the successful entrepreneurs and property investors and these major people, that they will say that they will happily accept 100 no's if that leads to 1 yes. So don't ever be afraid of getting no's. Don't ever be afraid of people saying, I'm not going to support you, or that's not for me, or no, I can't give you finance, because wait until you've got 100 no's before you give up. That's the mindset that we need to have, because there is so much out there. There's abundance everywhere. Just because you get a no, it really doesn't mean a thing. It just means that you say in your mind, okay, what's the next thing I can do? Let's just move on from that one, and let's say next, and let's bring the next opportunity into our life and into, our sphere, so to speak. Don't let that hold you back, okay? You need to let your story lead you through. You need to let what you want for your life, and ultimately your story, it needs to lead you, okay? You don't want fear to stop you, because fear has so much control over our lives, and it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of determination to actually push through that fear. And of course, there's always that saying that we know so well, where it says, the art of not being ready and doing it anyway, and the courage that brings. it will take you so far. I can only encourage you to simply just to start. Nobody feels ready when we're starting something new and something different. We will never ever be ready, because it's simply new and because it's different to what we're used to. And if I'm perfectly honest, I'm a big fan. I follow a lot of Bob Proctor's teachings, and he talks about the paradigm, that the power of our subconscious mind. And as soon as we bring something new into our lives, our paradigm, our subconscious mind says, no way, I'm not accepting that, and it kicks it out. And that's where the fear comes in. And if you succumb to that, then you are letting your paradigm, your subconscious mind, rule your life, even though you know within your conscious mind that there is opportunities and there is abundance and there is prosperity out there for you to seek and for you to find and for you to bring into your own lives. I really want to encourage you to just keep on pushing through, really start to open the doors for where you want to go, and never let the fear of, oh, what will they say, what will they think, I don't know what I'm doing, never let that come up and control you, because as I said before, it's your paradigm that is controlling you. And that's what we need to change, to say, well, yes, I am in control. Fear means nothing to me. I can do this, and I will do this, and I will learn about this, and I will understand more and more about how I can make this better for my own life. And the other thing to remember too is that whenever you're just sitting there and doing nothing, let's say, you're just sitting there working your 9 to 5, you're on the hamster wheel, like you may think, I'd love to be wealthy. I'd love to, to build wealth and to build financial security for my family. I'd love to own an investment property. I'd love to own a multi-family. I'd love to own a commercial piece of real estate, whatever that, independent circumstance looks like for you. The longer that you go on sitting in the pool of inaction, the more that the fear takes hold, okay? And you have to remember that when you take action, that's where your confidence comes from. And that's why we are where we are today, because we've taken the action and we've built up the confidence. And I don't stand here before you saying that I've got it all sorted out and I know exactly what I'm doing and all my ducks in a row. No, it's far from that. But I've got the confidence because I've taken the action, and I've got a structure and a system in place to know what it means to take the action, and then to ultimately see the results that comes from that. So you simply have to get out there and you have to go for it. And like I said earlier, so often just simply starting doesn't cost you a cent. It just takes a little bit of ambition, a little bit of time, a little bit of dedication, a little bit of vision. Get it in your mind and really start to bring that into your reality, and like change the way that you look at things. Flip that switch. If you have that fear that comes up in your mind, in your paradigm, in your subconscious, flip it and say, no, you have no place in my mind. I'm going to push you back and I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, I'm sure it's quite ironical me speaking about this on a YouTube channel, but it takes a lot to stand here and record. Okay, it takes a lot of courage, if you can't already tell, but he always says punch fear in the face and press record anyway. And that's what I want you to do as well. Punch fear in the face and really start to open those doors. Start your research, start your phone calls if doing phone calls is your thing. Start writing your emails, start writing your offers, start really branching out there, start seeking help. People have got an abundance of wisdom that they have within their lives. Start simply asking them how they got there. Don't feel ashamed by the fact that you're not there yet, but be proud of the fact that you can ask people who are already there, the people who already have the experience. And I guess that's what I really want to do through recording these short videos, is to simply share that it can be done. I'm here to share my story, okay? I'm here to share our journey, our experience of where we've got from where we have to where we are now. Yeah, remember, just punch fear in the face. Do not let fear have any place in your life, okay? Let your story be your fuel. Do not let your story, breed fear. Don't let it be your fortress, but let it be your fuel. Let it fuel you to be independent, to create your own story, to create your own life, to ultimately create the life of your dreams. So I hope that this has inspired you. And all I can say is just simply keep on going. All right, folks, I will leave it there. I hope you have a beautiful day and keep living the dream. See you later.